This is not investing, folks. This is not investing. Let's talk about the Wander Francos of the world. This is just the recent version of what we've seen in sports card speculation. Let's talk through it.
Yes!
If you're new here and you're looking for that daily sports card and collectible style videos, then friends, you have come to the right place. Don't forget to hit subscribe down below so that you are notified when each new video comes out. We will keep them a-flowing. Also, big thanks to today's video sponsor, VeriSwap. Very cool app where you can take cards, add cash, and trade with folks. Very easily done, super easy to upload cards and to make the offers, try to make trades. It is fun in a world where, hey, we might have cards, not a lot of cash. It's a way to get in and out of different things. It's fun, so definitely check out the VeriSwap app. All right, so here we sit. We've got news of a big-time prospect, Wander Franco, might be in some trouble, and so we'll have to see how that plays out. Last year we had Tatis, whose sports cards were through the roof. Of course, he got hit with a PED charge, and so he missed 50, 60 games into the season, and it's caused a huge disruption in his prices. Very talented player, but again, very new to the game, prospect early in his career, but shown really nice flashes. We've got the NFL season firing up here soon, and there is a ton of not investment money, speculation money. There's a lot of speculation money in young quarterbacks. At the National, we heard about Desmond Ridder and Sam Howell. I just actually put some speculation money into my own quarterback, my New Orleans Saints. Have Derek Carr, and one thing that I noticed is everyone's left Derek Carr for dead outside of Vegas Dave and me, apparently. So I went Vegas Daving over the last, 10 days or so. I was just taking a quick look and noticed that gold prisms for Derek Carr, graded gold prisms, were in kind of the few $100 range, $200-$300 range, and decided to pick up a few of those just to have kind of some cool cards that are also in Saints colors, our team color. So it just kind of worked out perfectly, the black and the gold. And I actually really do think that Derek Carr is going to make some waves in New Orleans, and it just adds that much more fun to me as I'm watching games. So I'm obviously a homer with this one, but I thought it would be a fun spec play as we head into the season. But that's what we're talking about today because, of course, I've joked before about, hey, I invested in a cheeseburger for lunch. People can use terminology however they want to. But I think when I think of investment, I think of a long-term hold horizon. I mean, look, let's be honest here. If we're looking at real wealth building, it happens over time. It happens really slowly. It happens over decades with compound interest, whether you're in stocks or real estate, typically is how wealth is built. You're continuously investing in those things. And over time, you're dinking and dunking. Maybe you're getting 4, 5, 6, 7% annually over time. It compounds. And at the end of it, when you go to retire, you're in a good spot. Now, there's an element of kind of get rich quick here where, sports cards have shown over the last few years that, hey, they can 10x, just like cryptocurrencies and other things. And so there is kind of a fun element of taking some extra dollars and throwing them at different players like this, like a Wander Franco, or a, Derek Carr or a Justin Herbert. The difference now, though, is that, and again, it depends. There's levels to this thing. It depends on how much cash you have. I always joke about Jeff Bezos. If Jeff Bezos buys cards, nobody cares if he's spending $250,000 on a Justin Herbert RPA. For him, maybe that's a fun play, assuming this is a Bezos buy. It also could be a guy that is taking out a second mortgage on his house and buying a $100,000 card. Not good. So, there's levels to it. It's all relative. But there is a ton of speculative money, and there always has been. Go back 30 years. I've talked about one of my buddy's dads used to stack 89 score factory sets and hobby boxes of that stuff, packs, in his closet, I remember, and Todd Van Poppel and Greg Jeffries, and there was a bunch of speculation. Jose Canseco, there was a lot of speculation going back really into the 80s that I can remember, and then into the 90s. Chris Webber and Anthony Hardaway. It's endless. It really is. I mentioned recently I've been buying some Derek Carr stuff just for fun, like I said, and there's one card in particular I haven't bid on it yet. It's on eBay right now, and it's a Prism Gold Signatures. It's numbered out of 25 from the 2015 set. 2015 Prism set. So I actually just recently bought the gold, the true gold, numbered out of 10 for 15, 16, 18 for Derek Carr. I thought that's kind of a fun run for those. And again, it's the gold prisms. And normally I wouldn't buy a gold prism, but like I said, nobody cares about Derek Carr. These prices, if you compare these to other players, they're very inexpensive in comparison. And I thought, let's take a look at the other 19 players. There's 20 players that are in this Prism Signatures Gold set that's numbered out of 10 or 5 or 25. It's a rare, it's one of those big kind of pulls. And so I was looking at it. I'm just going to run down the checklist, and I think you'll get the idea of what I'm getting at here. Eddie Lacy, Green Bay Packers. Andy Dalton, Cincinnati Bengals. Colin Kaepernick, San Francisco 49ers. CJ Anderson, running back for the Broncos. Derek Carr. Mike Evans, Bucks. Jamal Charles, Chiefs. Nick Foles, Rams. Joseph Randall, Joique Bell, I don't remember him. Luke Kuechly, I remember him for the Panthers. Alshon Jeffrey, Antonio Brown for the Steelers. Teddy Bridgewater, Patrick Peterson, Joe Flacco, Super Bowl winner. Matt Forte, Matthew Stafford, also recently got a Super Bowl. Blake Bortles, Ryan Tannehill. The other 19 players, if we go back 8 years, there is not one of them that stands out as a player in the league that's playing at a high level. A lot of these guys haven't played in years. And it just kind of struck me. I'm looking at, Derek Carr. The other player that sticks out is Mike Evans, for the Bucks. But outside of him, a lot of these guys are retired or they're very close to retirement. Stafford, did Stafford land somewhere? I'm drawing a blank on Stafford. Colin Kaepernick obviously been out of the league for a long time. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's still in the league. But I guess that's my point. It's different than the NBA where you have guys that really play for a long period of time. The NFL, the careers are so short. And it's funny as we look at these new draft classes for quarterbacks and for running backs and receivers, you will literally have, a handful of guys probably that come out of these draft classes if we're talking about offensive weapons. Now, defensive players, different story, but offensive players that really stay relevant 5+ years after they're drafted. It's just kind of shocking. It's just kind of shocking, especially when I look at the National over the last few years where I've attended. And what is really hot at the National? It's quarterbacks. I remember it was Baker Mayfield going back a couple years ago. This year it's Jordan Love and some of these other guys. There's money being spent on Sam Howell. I was messing with Jeff Wilson about Desmond Ridder. Partly because it's a Falcons quarterback. I'm a Saints fan, so I've got to talk trash. To be clear here, I don't believe these people are buying, Sam Howell to hold long term. This is obviously spec money. It's quick flip. The flippers right now for this sort of stuff, basically day traders. Basically day traders. How is it any different buying Sam Howell on a Friday, selling Sam Howell on a Sunday, or buying, pork, or wheat and on Friday and selling it on a Sunday? Derivatives. How is it any different than day trading? And you might say the stock market. It's the stock market that we should be focused on. That's a traditional investment. Yeah, but again, how is it really any different, this volatility from small cap stocks or penny stocks? There's a ton of volatility in all of this stuff. The stock market as a whole, it's kind of interesting. The guy, I think I have this right, unless this is fake news. The guy that shorted the real estate market going back to 2008, 2009, he put like everything into it, and then ended up being right years later. It's a great movie called The Big Short. I believe it's that guy. I saw something. Now, again, this could be some sort of fake news AI thing, AI bot news that I saw, but they put 90% of his portfolio into shorting the stock market or shorting kind of the largest stocks. And look, the Dow Jones is sitting at 35,000. It's at really kind of all-time highs. And going back to 2008, 2009 during the subprime mortgage crisis, it dropped all the way down to 6,500. So when you look at something where it's like, man, is there something that seems a little bit vulnerable right now? The overall stock market has stayed bullish despite interest rates, despite kind of all these economic indicators. And so I thought that was interesting. I caught that yesterday in the news. And again, maybe I'm missing this, but when I see huge money shorting the Dow, it's like, that is kind of interesting to me. And even that right there, just shorting individual stocks, buying individual stocks, it's all very, very volatile. And you're making a bet. You're shorting. Are you investing if you're shorting a stock? I mean, to me, you're just more or less making a bet. How is that different than, making a bet on the Super Bowl halftime show. Who's gonna be the presenter or something like that. I know that's two different things. I get it. But you are trying to like read the tea leaves. Maybe you got some gut instinct and you've done research, and maybe based on historical performance, you're like, hey, this is too high, I'm shorting it, but again, you're just placing a bet. So a lot of this highly, highly speculative. When you get to collectibles, investment grade stuff is different than the spec stuff. And there's so much nuance to that too. Investment grade. Now, a lot of the collectibles experts will say investment grade is the top 10% of that particular collectible. If that particular collectible for that particular player or that particular category falls into the top 10%, then it's considered investment grade. But what's gotten really tricky now, especially with third-party grading with all these different things, is there's a lot of high-end things. There's a lot of mid-end to high-end, and you're trying to kind of gauge like, what's got opportunity to grow, what's overpriced, and that's a lot of the fun of it. But it's a really tricky time right now to figure out what is what's investment grade. Obviously 52 Topps Manals are investment grade. And look, the reality is, here's another little wrinkle of nuance to this, is that there will be, players that come out of this generation that are investment grade down the road. You might be speculating on a particular player that is that guy down the road. If you look at, Ken Griffey Jr. and Mike Trout are kind of interesting to me, because Ken Griffey Jr. was the darling going back to the 90s. Mike Trout might never win a title, might never even have any sort of really deep playoff run with the Angels. We don't really know. He's starting to battle some injuries. How much longevity does he have? But he's got the stats. He's, in baseball, it's all about the stats. Griffey Jr. kind of similar, really. Doesn't have some huge postseason success, but he was a stat machine and he was beloved by fans, and he's, all that stuff. So the truth is, when it comes to hobby, it's not necessarily the best players, and it's not necessarily just the guys that win 5 titles. It can also be a Ken Griffey Jr. It can also be a Mike Trout. This is stuff that we don't know until later. It's all gonna, it's all gonna kind of progress. Again, part of the fun of speculating, your speculative thing could become an investment down the road. But I just thought this was kind of a fun thing to talk about, especially given the recent, the Wander Franco debacle. And look, there's going to be more football debacles coming. There's going to be a large movement in prices downward over the next couple months for certain quarterbacks, that just don't pan out. They get injured. Not to say that prices can't recover, but the amount of money that's being spent on some of these high-end cards for lesser than quarterbacks, or just guys that haven't proven themselves yet, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. And that's what's different from 1990 when I was in the game, when I was a kid. My buddy's dad couldn't go and get, a Bobby Hebert Superfractor, RPA. Or to use a player more popular, Troy Aikman. Okay, you have 89 score, Barry Sanders. There wasn't that Superfractor chase. There wasn't that, the gold prism, Barry Sanders rookie. That'd be pretty sweet if 89 score football had, some sort of serial numbered stuff. I actually like serial numbered stuff. I just don't like how they're overdoing it nowadays, but that's a whole nother topic. But anyway, I thought that's interesting. I did a video on this at the beginning of the year, and it was collecting versus investing versus speculating, something to that degree. But it's a good conversation to have, because when you hear investing, to me, that means long-term horizon. If you're investing in something, then you have a long-term belief of that thing. Not to say that you can't sell it before that time period, but it's just going into that buy, you're okay holding on to it over an extended period. Whereas speculating is, hey, I'm buying this quarterback now, and in 6 months, I'm flipping him. Flipping and speculating is the same to me. All right, guys, that's it for today. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.